Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick video for Thursday, January 23rd. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We go over my core picks for both DraftKings and FanDuel. It's an 8-game main slate on both sites. 9 games in total for the NBA, but the first game of the day is going to be over in Paris. So that one will not be on the main slate for obvious reasons, as it does start about like 5 or 6 hours earlier than all the other ones. There are a handful of teams on the back-to-back, so keep an eye out on those injury updates throughout the day. We'll be posting an early morning injury report as per usual down in the comments. Injury updates throughout the day, an updated core about 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock, or as those changes do become available, and listing as many starting lineups as I can get to throughout the evening as well. But without further ado, we'll get started off with the DraftKings side. We're going to start off at the point guard position. Keep in mind, everybody that I'm listing on both sides very much up in the air at this point in time, especially with a lot of that injury news that we will be getting throughout the day. Value will be opening up with all these teams on the back-to-back. But we're going to start off at the point guard position with Spencer Dinwiddie of the Dallas Mavericks. Was not in the starting lineup for Wednesday night's game. That is kind of notable, but I do expect Kyrie Irving to probably sit out on the back-to-back, which means Spencer Dinwiddie should get the start. Not the greatest matchup versus the Oklahoma City Thunder, but at $6,100, looking for 30-31 out of him. If there's no Kyrie Irving, if there's no Klay Thompson, once again, if there's a lot of guys out, like it's probably going to be for this Dallas Mavericks team, he's going to look really good overall. Currently, I'm projected for 33. Definitely has a little bit of upside for more, has some downside for less, especially if Kyrie Irving ultimately does end up playing. But if that's the case, obviously we're going to swap off of Spencer Dinwiddie to somebody else at that point in time. But it looks like a really interesting option at that point guard position, at least early on in the day. Then we're going to move down to shooting guard with Duncan Robinson, playing really well as of late. Goes against the Milwaukee Bucks, who have a tendency to give up that three-point ball. And there is no Jimmy Butler for this game. Tyler Hero may be out at the same time as well. So a lot of extra shots to go around if Tyler Hero's out in addition to Jimmy Butler. But Duncan Robinson, like I said, playing really well as of late. $5,100, looking for 25-26 out of him. Currently, I'm projected for 27-28, but does offer some pretty good upside for more at the same time as well. Then we're going to move down to small forward, Moses Moody. Golden State Warriors are typically a team that do rest a lot of guys on the back-to-back, potentially Steph Curry, potentially Andrew Wiggins, obviously a handful of guys already out for this team. Moses Moody playing bigger minutes as of late, playing pretty well in those minutes. $3,900, you're looking for about 20 out of him. Currently, I'm projected for about 23 if he's in that starting lineup. Some of these other guys ultimately end up getting rolled out. Looks even better at that point in time as well. And then we're going to move down to power forward with Jeremy Grant of the Portland Trailblazers. And he's still at $5,100, so looking for 25-26 out of him. And he's averaging just under 27 so far in the season. Paid off for us 2 nights ago, so definitely warrant going back to him. Not the greatest matchup in the world versus the Orlando Magic, but I definitely think he outperforms this price tag. Currently, I'm projected for about 27-28. Looks like a decent value play, at least early on in the day. And then last but not least, we're going to go with Khalil Ware of the Miami Heat. Was in the starting lineup last time out alongside Bam Adebayo. He's playing really well as of late. $5,700. We're looking for 28-29 out of him. He's been up over 30 when he's gotten the chance. And he's been one of the best young point per minute guys. Limited sample size, but at the same time, going against Milwaukee Bucks should be an interesting matchup for him. Going against Brook Lopez might get a little bit of Giannis here and there at the same time as well, but he does offer some really high-end upside. Currently, I'm projected for about 33, but definitely does have a ton of upside for more at the same time as well. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do currently have listed here, you have $24,100 remaining, just over $8,000 remaining per player. So a lot of room and flexibility to pay up. Like I mentioned earlier, a lot of teams on the back-to-back, there are going to be values that open up throughout the day. I do expect by the time we get to lock, a lot of value will be open on this slate. And with that being said, going to make for a very interesting day. Probably going to see a lot of stars and scrubs lineups, but we got some really good values here early on with some of these guys, which I do expect to remain in contention for lineups throughout the day. So it's definitely going to be a fun slate to kind of mix and match and build out a couple different lineups at the same time as well. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. So on the FanDuel side, we're going to go with Spencer Dinwiddie at that point guard position once again. Like I mentioned on DraftKings, I think there's a good chance that Kyrie Irving sits out this game, especially coming off that injury that he was dealing with. Probably don't want to play him on back-to-backs. Tougher matchup versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. Dallas Mavericks are pretty banged up at this point in time, so there is a good chance that they're probably going to lose this game anyways. But if Spencer Dinwiddie gets the start in place of Kyrie Irving, have to say it that way because he is not starting on Wednesday, the upside is definitely going to be there. Currently, I'm projected for about 32-33 at $6,300. We're looking for 31-32 out of him. Do expect that there will be a better value play that opens up at this point guard position throughout the day, but at least early on looks like a solid option, especially if Kyrie Irving is to miss. And if Kyrie Irving ultimately ends up playing in this game, I'm going to swap over to a different player at this position regardless. Then we're going to move down to shooting guard with Duncan Robinson, $4,800, so he's a little bit cheaper on the FanDuel side. Look for at least 24 out of him. Been in the starting lineup, playing pretty well as of late. As I mentioned on DraftKings, the Milwaukee Bucks are a team that does like to give up that three-point ball, so looks like a really good matchup for Duncan Robinson. No Jimmy Butler. He is suspended at this point in time. Tyler Herro's kind of up in the air whether or not he'll play or not, so could be some extra usage to go around, which would favor a guy like Duncan Robinson just in general. But with all that being said, I do currently have Duncan Robinson projected for 27 fantasy points on the FanDuel side tonight. Looks like a really good value play overall. Maybe a little bit scoring dependent, but if that three ball is going down, he's going to look like a great option overall. Then on the opposite end of that game, we're going to go with Chris Middleton. $6,000. He was in the initial core for Wednesday, but the Milwaukee game did end up getting canceled due to snow down in New Orleans. So I do like him going against Miami Heat. 30 points is what we're looking for out of him at $6,000. Not anybody that I truly love to start off the day at the small forward position, so throwing Chris Middleton out there once again. He's been doing pretty well as of late. Currently, I'm projected for 30 points in this matchup at the same time as well. Then we're going to move down to power forward with Jeremy Grant, $5,500. Looking for 27-28 out of him. And he's averaging just under 26.5 per game on the season so far. So a little bit short of what we're looking for here, but do expect him to be pretty pivotal in this game. If he gets a block, if he gets a steal, he definitely has some pretty strong upside, especially if he's scoring the ball well. Once again, a little bit tougher matchup versus the Orlando Magic, but do currently have him projected for 28, so at least early on, looks like a decent little safe play at $5,500. You can also play him at small forward if you really want to. Then at center, we're going to go Khalil Ware of the Miami Heat. Started last game alongside Bam Adebayo. He's $6,100. FanDuel side, we get that extra bonus with the blocks, and he's been doing great in that regard. So on the FanDuel side, currently I'm projected for 34, 35 tonight at $6,100. We're looking for 30, 31 out of him. Do expect him to be pretty popular. It's a very interesting matchup versus the Milwaukee Bucks going against Brook Lopez and Giannis. We'll see how much he's on Giannis. But so far this season, this young player has played really well. So I do expect that trend to continue, especially if he's in that starting lineup once again and playing really solid minutes. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do currently have listed here, you have $31,300 remaining, just over $7,800 remaining per player. So a good amount of money remaining. Definitely have some opportunities to pay up for some star players. Once again, as the day moves along, with all the teams on the back-to-back, I do expect more value to open up. So definitely make sure you're checking up down in the comment section so you have the most updated information as possible. But with that being said, these are my core picks for both DraftKings and FanDuel for Thursday, January 23rd. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comment section, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Once again, in the morning, I'll be listing my early morning injury report. Keep in mind, a lot of teams on the back-to-back, so those teams on the back-to-back, their injury reports will be coming out later on the day. Typically in the afternoon, I'll be posting injury updates throughout the day, as well as my updated core 20 to 30 minutes prior to lock, or as those changes do become available, and that will be listed as a pinned comment. Any changes that happen after that point in time will be left as a reply to that pinned comment as well. And then I will also be posting as many starting lineups as I can throughout the evening as well. So definitely make sure you're checking up on that comment section, especially as we do get closer to lock, just so you have the most up-to-date information as possible. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we just have NBA DFS going on in terms of the core pick videos Tuesday through Friday. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you're a brand new user on any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, make your first deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Parlay Play and Prize Picks, it's a 100% match up to $100. And then for BetUS, it's a 125% match up to $2,000. So some pretty good opportunities out there. If you have any other additional questions related to that whatsoever, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comment section of this video or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you to tune in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in NBA DFS for Thursday, January 23rd.